Hi everyone, Steve Kim here. So excited! Steve Kim Show episode number 40. Let's take a look at the February numbers as they pertain to both the detached and townhome markets in both the 416 and for certain communities in the 905. So let's get right into the numbers. So that average detached home in Toronto in February was trading just over 1.2 million from back in January, where it was trading just over 1.1 million. So we see a little bit of an increase. Well, in Richmond Hill, what happened? That average detached home in January is trading at 1.465 million, and we see it drop just a little bit to 1.321 million. In Markham, what did we see? January, that average detached was trading just over 1.2 million, and then in February, that average detached was trading at 1.235 million. Well, in Vaughan, we see also a little bit of an increase from January to February, where we went just over 1.18 million, and then in February, just over 1.24 million. Well, months of inventory, this is all about supply and demand, checks and balances. In Toronto, we saw months of inventory drop from 3.9 to 2.8, right? So that is definitely the signs of a seller's market. Look at Richmond Hill. We were almost at 10 months of inventory in January, and then we see it drop to 5.3. So more of a balanced market in terms of detached homes for buyers and sellers in February. Well, what happened in Markham? We went from 8.5, so a buyer's market, down to 4.9 in February. And then similarly in Vaughan, we went from 6.3 to 5.2. So these are numbers we should absolutely pay attention to. Well, what happened in the townhome market? So look at Toronto back in January. That average townhouse was trading just over 975,000. We see it drop in February to just over 940,000. In Richmond Hill, we saw also a little bit of a drop. So we went from just over 810,000 into February. That average townhome was trading just over 797,000. Similarly in Markham, we were trading at 837,000, and then in February it dropped to just over 770,000, and then in Vaughan we saw also a little bit of a drop where it was trading from 812,000 to just over 801,000. Months of inventory, this is always really important. So from Toronto, we went from 1.7 to 1.8 months of inventory for townhomes, so still very much a seller's market. In Richmond Hill, we went from 4.6 to 3.1, so definitely the signs of a seller's market. And then look at Markham, we went from 2.8 to 4.9, so we went from a seller's market getting very close to a balanced market, right? Which could equate to that drop we saw in Markham. And then in Vaughan, we went from 4.8 to 3.6 months of inventory. We're pushing closer to a seller's market for townhomes in Vaughan. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, or come by and say hello. Thank you so much. Be great, be kind, everyone. Take care.